Pivotal moments in Native American history that shaped their survival. Across the sweeping plains, towering mountains, and serene forests of North America lies a story of unparalleled resilience. This is the story of the Native American communities, custodians of the land whose history is a testament to the endurance of the human spirit. Despite centuries of hardship, displacement, and systemic oppression, their culture, identity, and heritage continue to shine as beacons of strength and survival. Today, we embark on a journey to revisit profound moments in Native American history, moments of struggle, defiance, and triumph. This is not just a recounting of the past. It is a celebration of courage and an invitation to learn from their enduring legacy. Before the arrival of European settlers, the land thrived with rich, diverse indigenous cultures. Native American tribes were far from monolithic. They lived in harmony with the earth on the vast plains, dense forests, and rugged plateaus. For centuries, they cultivated the land, established vibrant trade networks, and developed intricate forms of governance. The connection between native communities and the land was spiritual and profound. The land was not seen as property but as a living entity, nurturing their lives and demanding respect in return. From agricultural innovation like the Three Sisters method to complex oral traditions, their societies fostered sustainability and unity. This legacy formed the foundation of their identity and survival before the world, as they knew it would see unimaginable change. The initial encounters between Native American tribes and European settlers in the 16th and 17th centuries marked the beginning of a turbulent relationship. At first, some tribes saw alliances and trade opportunities. However, these relationships were doomed by colonizers' insatiable hunger for land and power, a hunger that led to the exploitation, oppression, and decimation of entire tribes. With the introduction of foreign diseases such as smallpox, against which Native Americans had no immunity, millions perished. This silent epidemic was compounded by land disputes and violent confrontations, propelling life into disarray. What began as tentative contact became a devastating wave of upheaval. Among the greatest scars of this history was the forced relocation of native peoples from their ancestral lands. The passing of the Indian Removal Act in 1830 marked an era of systematic displacement. Most notably, the Trail of Tears, a journey forced upon the Cherokee, Muskogee, Seminole, Chickasaw, and Choctaw tribes, serves as a harrowing symbol of this suffering. Thousands died from hunger, exposure, and disease along these treacherous paths. Entire communities were uprooted, their identities shaken, and their spirits tested. And yet, they endured. While many treaties were signed, most were eventually broken, further stripping tribes of promised protections and rights. Despite this betrayal, the Native American commitment to preserving their culture and sovereignty never faltered. The history of forced relocation and oppression may be entrenched in heartbreak, but it is equally infused with incredible acts of resilience. Native Americans resisted, not merely through physical confrontation, but through the quiet, steady preservation of their ways of life. Through song, dance, art, and oral histories, tribes held on to traditions that colonizers sought to erase. These were acts of defiance, a refusal to let their voices or history fade silently into oblivion. They found ways to adapt, integrating new economic and social systems while fiercely holding on to their cultural identity. Their survival was not just physical but spiritual, rooted in their love for their communities and their ancestral wisdom. One of the darkest chapters in Native American history came in the late 19th and early 20th centuries with the introduction of assimilation policies. Native children were forcibly taken from their families and placed in boarding schools run by the U.S. government or Christian groups. Stripped of their traditional clothing, hair, and language, they were taught to reject their cultures. This systematic suppression aimed to eliminate the Indian in them, yet it sparked a resolve to protect their heritage at all costs. Though generations grew up disconnected from their roots, the fight to revive endangered languages and ceremonies proved unstoppable. Many tribes have since made incredible strides in reclaiming this lost identity, ensuring that future generations inherit the culture stolen from so many. By the mid-20th century, Native Americans began to organize in powerful ways, taking their fight for rights, sovereignty, and recognition to a national stage. The American Indian Movement, AIM, emerged in 1968 as a crucial force of activism. It amplified the voices of Native people demanding an end to their marginalization. Significant protests like the occupation of Alcatraz Island in 1969 and the standoff at Wounded Knee in 1973 captured global attention. These were not just protests, they were acts of defiance rooted in centuries of pride and pain. Through these efforts and legislative victories such as the Indian Self-Determination Act of 1975, tribes made giant strides in reclaiming governance over their own lives. As we journey further into the 21st century, Native Americans continue to honor their ancestors while embracing modern tools for progress. Cultural revitalization programs have gained momentum, leading to the revival of ceremonies, spiritual practices, and languages once at risk of extinction. Today's Native leaders blend traditional values with contemporary activism to address the critical issues facing their communities, from environmental conservation to the battle for resource sovereignty. Through storytelling, music, film, and education, they shine a light on the vitality of indigenous identity. The bridge between tradition and modernity grows stronger each day. At the heart of Native American survival is their spirituality, a deep-rooted belief in interconnectedness and the power of the earth, ancestors, and unseen forces. This unwavering faith has served as their guiding compass through the storm of colonization and adversity. Native communities themselves are pillars of resilience, where unity takes precedence. Whether rebuilding after natural disasters, advocating for their rights, or perpetuating traditions, the strength of these bonds fosters hope and endurance. From powwows to harvest ceremonies, rituals remain central to preserving not only their heritage but also their sense of purpose. Central to the survival of Native American culture is the passing down of stories, tales that cradle the wisdom, lessons, and history of their people. Elders, as keepers of this knowledge, are deeply respected and play a pivotal role. They teach younger generations not only the stories of the past, but also the strength it takes to preserve one's identity against adversity. The voices of the elders remind us that history is alive within us, and through their teachings, Native youth are emboldened to carry their heritage into the future. Their wisdom is a bridge that connects generations and keeps cultures flourishing. Today, Native communities are focused on reclaiming and shaping their narrative, educating others on their history while ensuring that their future is bright. From integrating Native American history into mainstream education to fostering youth-led movements focused on cultural preservation, the next generation is paving the path forward. Young leaders are stepping into the spotlight, leading movements to protect their ancestral lands and battle climate issues. Across the country, partnerships between Native and non-Native communities are growing, creating shared spaces for understanding and collaboration. This future is a reflection of centuries of perseverance, a promise that Native American stories, cultures, and contributions will not only survive but thrive in an interconnected world. The story of Native Americans is one of deep endurance, an unyielding spirit that has transcended centuries of trauma and change. Their survival is not just a lesson in resilience, but a call for all of humanity to reflect on the power of identity and perseverance. As the lands echo with the cadence of ancient songs and sacred dances, let us remember this. Native American history is not just their history. It is a vital part of our collective story. It calls on each of us to honor their past, respect their present, and champion their future. Through their journey, we are reminded that even in the darkest hours, the human spirit can endure, thrive, and inspire generations to come. Let us be inspired by their legacy to work toward a more inclusive and compassionate world.